Hi, I'm Robert Osborne. In case you hadn't noticed, things are a little bit hairy on TCM tonight, having been visited by King Kong and then Mighty Joe Young. Well, our next Jungle VIP is in a movie called Konga, which sounds like it might be a film about a dance step, but this is spelled Konga, and it's a 1961 sci-fi movie from producer Herman Cohen. Now, Cohen also wrote the screenplay along with Aben Kandel. Cohen was the mastermind behind a whole series of B-budget monster movies in the 1950s, with titles such as I Was a Teenage Werewolf and I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, and also Blood of Dracula. And I cannot tell a lie, the original working title for this movie, Konga, was I Was a Teenage Gorilla. Now, Cohen was also responsible for Joan Crawford's very last film, Trog, but that, as they say, is another story. Cohen's movies were by and large reviled by critics, ridiculed by comics, and disdained by anyone over the age of 7. But Cohen didn't really care. They didn't cost much to make, and the kids loved them, and so they made tons of money. And it's also worth noting that some of the kids who grew up loving the movies of Herman Cohen include Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and George Lucas, all of whom cite Cohen's movies as among the films which first inspired them to be in the movie business. Now, Cohen had started out in the movie business as a 12-year-old janitor's assistant in a Detroit movie house, working his way up to being the assistant manager at the city's 5,200-seat Palace Theater. Well, some 20 years later, Cohen bought that theater. How satisfying that must have been. Here's the story of a mad scientist with a god complex, a pet chimpanzee, and an exotic growth serum, which, when combined, send a giant gorilla on a rampage. From 1961, Konga. That was Michael Goff having such a scenery-chewing good time at the Mad Scientist. His acting career ran the gamut from Shakespeare to, well, Konga. He won a Tony Award for the 1979 Broadway comedy Bedroom Farce, but most movie audiences know Michael Goff best today as Alfred the Butler in the 4 Batman films that were made in the 80s and 90s. Now, the blazing finale we just saw was actually filmed on the streets of London. The film's producer, Herman Cohen, had finagled permission for that shootout by offering the local police inspector a great deal of charm and also a great television set. But he neglected to mention what the scene actually entailed. Well, when filming started, there were suddenly hundreds of calls from panicked citizens fearing the worst. Cohen eventually had to go make house calls to apologize to some of the more disgruntled people that he'd irritated and who were threatening to make trouble for him. He took chocolates and flowers to the ladies and just narrowly managed to avoid being kicked out of the country. Up next, another ape, but he's not the one causing the mayhem this time. Instead, the mayhem is caused by the acquired taste known as the Ritz Brothers.
Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, a monkey on the move is misinterpreted as a murder suspect in The Gorilla. Then Kurt Russell's secret to success lies in the furry palms of the barefoot executive. And Annette Funicello and Frankie Avalon hit Bikini Beach. Turner Classic Movies rides the tide tonight.